And my top priority since I was in the county legislature has been to make sure that people in this area are working. That's why I supported as hard as I did the American Recovery and Reinvestment Act. The legislation contains the right mix of spending and tax cuts to spur our economy. It includes immediate tax relief for 95% of all working families, tax cuts for job-creating small businesses, a $100 billion investment in putting Americans back to work, renewing our crumbling roads, bridges, mass transit, high-speed rail, and other infrastructure, and nutrition, unemployment, and health care assistance to those families who have been hardest hit by the recession. These steps will have an immediate impact. The nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office estimates that 75% of the recovery funds will be spent in the first 18 months. In fact, they pretty much have to, which means an immediate jolt to our economy. The CBO also estimates that by the end of next year, America will have up to 3.6 million more jobs than if we had not done this bill. Furthermore, the legislation is not merely a prescription for short-term spending. It is a strategy for long-term economic growth, which is the best part of it, in my opinion. Growth in areas like renewable energy, healthcare, and education. Besides creating jobs immediately, we will invest in new energy technologies right here at home. Upgrade our schools with 21st century classrooms and computerized health records to reduce costs and to improve care. All of those are investments that promise growth and savings in the years to come to ensure that this nation does not slip back into recession. Some of the first funding will be spent on our transportation infrastructure. The 7-county Greater Rochester-Finger Lakes region will receive over $72 million to fund new road and transit projects, in addition to its regular allocation of federal highway funds. The net result is that we have 2 years of funding in one single year to spend, and we have no time to waste. The White House estimates the recovery bill will create roughly 7,000 jobs in each of Western New York's congressional districts. These road and bridge projects are our job creation conduit, and the quicker we put the projects to bid, the quicker we will create jobs and buffer our local economy from the worst of the economic downturn. Fortunately, as evidenced tonight, I know our state and our region are committed to using this funding quickly to create jobs, constructing shovel-ready projects. Half of our recovery transportation funding must be out to bid within the first 120 days, and the other half within 1 year. If we accomplish this, then a provision in the legislation allows us to compete for any funding left unspent in other states, including other states which really try to get funding for not shovel-ready projects, and that's a very important point. And we want to be in a position not only to keep our fair share, but to recoup other states who decided that this is not something that they want to be involved in. Fortunately, we hit the ground running. We approved our region's list of road projects within 24 hours of signing the bill. To maximize the impact, the funding is being dedicated to make long-lasting repairs to those roads in the worst shape used by the greater number of residents. Of course, the transportation funding is only a fraction of the $24.6 billion headed to New York State. The state will also benefit from $157 million for new energy efficiency upgrades and to spur renewable energy development, and we are going to have a great time with that. $520 million will be available to municipalities for new drinking and wastewater infrastructure, and $203 million available to our police departments to hire new officers and purchase needed equipment. I'm particularly happy about the drinking water and the sewage problems because I represent a great number of small towns who would never have been able to get the matching money that they needed to do the upgrades that they have to have. This makes that possible for them. To relieve the taxpayers' burden and stave off tax increases, we included $11 billion for Medicaid relief in New York and over $1.5 billion for the state schools. For our small business owners, the recovery bill gives the U.S. Small Business Administration new and increased authority to guarantee up to 90% of an SBA loan that a bank makes to local businesses. Now we just have to guarantee that the bank will make the loan. No small item, I know. This assurance will induce more banks to make good loans to worthy businesses that have needlessly suffered from the credit clampdown. To apply, business owners need only to contact their bank or an SBA-approved lender. Beyond the $24.6 billion that will be allocated to state agencies, New York entities will also be able to compete for additional funding that will be allocated nationwide by federal agencies under competitive grant programs. For example, in May, the Department of Health and Human Services expects to start accepting applications for health information technology grants, while the U.S. Department of Transportation will begin accepting the applications for the high-speed rail development. And I meet with the Secretary of Transportation on Monday. But again, we will not create one job if this funding just sits in a government account. And that's why I appreciate our state majority leaders' help in hosting these meetings throughout the state. And the more you know how to put this funding to work in your counties, cities, and organizations, the more people we will put to work. Thank you all for coming today for this information session on the recovery bill.